Once upon a time in a faraway kingdom, there was a kind-hearted girl named Cinderella. Though she lived in a little cottage with her wicked stepmother and two silly stepsisters, she always had a smile on her face. Even though the work was never ending, Cinderella's heart remained pure and full of hope. Every day, Cinderella worked from dawn till dusk, sweeping the floors, washing the dishes, and taking care of all the chores. But Cinderella didn't mind. She hummed a cheerful tune, finding joy in the simplest of tasks, dreaming of a life beyond the cottage walls. One fateful day, a grand invitation arrived from the palace. It was for the royal ball, where the prince would choose a bride. Cinderella's heart skipped a beat. She longed to go to see the glittering palace and dance with the prince. But her stepmother, in a fit of jealousy, ripped the invitation to pieces and laughed cruelly. Just as Cinderella's heart began to break, a soft glow filled the room. Suddenly, with a twinkle of magic, her fairy godmother appeared, a kind old woman with a twinkling smile. "Do not worry, my dear," she said with a warm laugh. "You will go to the ball." With a wave of her wand, the fairy godmother turned pumpkins into glittering carriages and mice into elegant horses. Cinderella gasped in wonder as she watched the magic unfold. Then, with another flick of her wand, the fairy godmother transformed Cinderella's rags into a dazzling gown made of shimmering blue silk. The gown sparkled like the stars in the night sky, and Cinderella could hardly believe her eyes. To complete her look, the fairy godmother conjured two perfect glass slippers, sparkling as if made from crystal. Cinderella hesitated for a moment, unsure, but the fairy godmother smiled and said, "These slippers will always guide you home, my dear." At last, Cinderella arrived at the royal ball, and everyone turned to stare. She was a vision of beauty, and even the prince couldn't take his eyes off her. She felt as though she were floating on air, her heart racing with excitement. The prince, enchanted by Cinderella, took her hand and led her to the dance floor. They twirled and spun together in perfect harmony, as though they had danced this way for years. Cinderella felt as though she were in a dream. But as the clock struck midnight, a loud chime echoed through the hall. Cinderella gasped in panic. She had to leave before the magic wore off. Cinderella ran down the grand staircase, her heart pounding. Her slipper slipped off her foot, but she didn't stop to pick it up. She had to escape before the spell was broken completely. Once outside, Cinderella's gown turned back into rags, and the carriage became a pumpkin again. The only thing left behind was one delicate glass slipper. The prince, determined to find the mysterious girl, went from house to house, carrying the glass slipper with him. He would find the one whose foot fit the slipper, no matter what it took. Finally, the prince arrived at Cinderella's home. The stepsisters tried on the slipper, but it didn't fit. The prince frowned and asked for Cinderella to try it on. At last, Cinderella stepped forward and slipped the glass slipper onto her foot. It fit perfectly. The prince's face lit up with joy, and Cinderella's heart soared. Cinderella and the prince were married in a grand ceremony, surrounded by family and friends. The kingdom rejoiced as the beautiful, kind-hearted Cinderella became their new princess. From that day on, Cinderella lived happily ever after in the palace, with the prince by her side. They ruled the kingdom with kindness, and their love was celebrated by everyone. Every day, Cinderella walked through the magical garden, where beautiful flowers bloomed in every color. It was a peaceful, tranquil place where she could reflect on her journey. One evening, the kingdom held a royal feast to celebrate Cinderella's new life as a princess. There were delicious foods, beautiful music, and everyone danced and laughed together. On their first anniversary, the prince gave Cinderella a beautiful locket, which held a picture of their wedding day. To always remember this moment, he said, as they shared a sweet kiss. Under their reign, the kingdom flourished. People were happy, and the land was peaceful. Cinderella and the prince worked together to make their world a better place, guided by love and kindness. And so Cinderella's dreams came true, and she lived happily ever after, surrounded by love, kindness, and magic. The end.